Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host Paul, and in this video we're breaking down the Superman trailer. The brand new teaser is packed with Easter eggs, hidden details, and big reveals for the movie. Throughout this video we'll be breaking it all down and talking about everything you need to know. If you enjoy it, please hit the thumbs up and make sure you subscribe for our breakdowns on the film. With that out of the way though, thank you for clicking this. Now let's get into Superman.
Are you being serious right now?
Yeah,
You'd let me interview you as Superman.
sure.
Ready?
Let's do it, Cronkite.
Superman.
Miss Lane.
Recently, you've come under a lot of fire for
I
what
know,
some
it's a
might.
lot of
It's
fire,
a lot. Today, the Secretary of Defense said he was going to look into your actions. That's funny.
Now the trailer begins riffing off a scene in the original Donner film. There Lois Lane interviewed Supes to basically introduce him to the world. Joking, she's like Walter Cronkite, Clark then gives her an interview. It delves into politics, and we also learn that Rick Flag Sr. is the Secretary of Defense. It talks about Superman's actions in the Middle East and how the character helped to stop a war, without permission from the government. This has caused lots of issues at home, and Lex is likely using this to bring the icon down. But Supes can't understand it, as he sees it as just saving people, but, you know, in today's political climate, you've got people arguing about everything. Now the trailer has a lot of big moments in which Superman fights a mysterious figure with a helmet. If you look closely at the last trailer though, we actually saw a moment that teased this. When Clark rushed through the streets and we saw him enter the Daily Planet, if you zoomed in on the paper the policeman was reading, you can see a headline and photo about this. That says he's the Hammer of Baravia, with this being a new meta-human for the movie. However, there are rumours this is actually Ultraman in disguise. Though Baravia is a place that comes from the source material, this character is completely brand new. The Ultraman rumours come from Daniel RPK, who said the figure will actually just be the villain doing this to ruin Supes' name. Now, though the suit is all new, it actually seems like it might be laying the groundwork for something else. That is Lex's war suit. Throughout the comics, games, and toys, the character can often be seen donning this to fight against metahumans. I do feel like that will be something we get in the film, or at the very least, this will be a prototype version of it. Beyond that, the trailers have also shown us there's a conflict going on in a Middle Eastern country. We have a boy raising a Superman flag and desperately calling for help. I wonder how much this is actually going to appear in the movie, as there have been rumours that the majority of this was cut out. Which, yeah, look around the world and you can understand why. Grace Randolph initially reported there'd be a big conflict set in the Middle East, which Bassem Youssef seemed to back up. He told Piers Morgan he was initially in the film, but they ended up cutting him due to the real-world conflicts. So whether this is used in a big way or not, we do know originally it was likely going to appear more. This fictional country is named Baravia, which we can see on a news report in Trailer 1. So Lex is kind of tying in the Hammer of Baravia with the conflict in the film, and using it as a way to besmirch the good Supes' name. It's now pitted the character against the government, and we watch as he walks through the streets and gets a can pelted off his head. As he approaches this building, we can also see it has a sign for Stag Industries, which is a scene that we got in the first trailer. If you played Arkham Knight, you'll know a big part revolves around rescuing Simon Stagg, and I am interested to see how this company plays into the film. With Lex, you know, Mr. Terrific, you all had these different heads of industries that might even usher in Batman or at least tease Wayne Tech. Stag Industries also a big part of Gotham as well, so, you know, segueing from that into Wayne Enterprises would be a clever way to do it. Now we also have the general theme and Art Deco style of the film. It's kind of wild that we have two comic book movies releasing in July that both kind of lean into that 1930s style. Metropolis is definitely seen as often having that tone, and Superman Returns captured it perfectly. It's also something Donner did originally, and it's just become part of the repertoire. It really builds off the comics and has that iconic globe on the top of the building. Now from the behind the scenes info, we also know that Lois and Clark have been dating for 3 months. This has been done in secret with none of their co-workers knowing. However, they are dating, and obviously Lois knows the secret, which, yeah, you can kind of gather that already. You figured it out, mate. You're smarter than these guys who don't even know that Clark can Superman because he's wearing glasses. So they're bloody idiots. Whew, now that's something that often causes problems and criticisms, because like they're investigative journalists and should have figured it out, but they don't. So they're just having Lois and Clark already dating, she already knows the secret, and that's that. No explanations needed. We have several shots of them in the teasers, such as the pair floating in the air together, which is also something that pulls directly from the comics. They also did it in Superman Returns, and it's a really sweet moment for the couple. She's what keeps Soup sided with humanity, and is basically the anchor that makes him see the best in us. She amps him up to get ready for a fight, and is even someone who writes nice comments on all his videos, which I can't even bloody get my wife to watch mine. Lois, of course, gets in lots of danger as well, though. There's moments where Mr. Terrific protects her with his orbs, and she's probably going to get in lots of scraps. Other details include that Jimmy Olsen's in the film as well. Jimmy is apparently going to be a bit of a ladies' man, but he'll not even know why that is. He's very innocent, very in line with his Golden and Silver Age versions, and seems like a kind of 1950s style teen. Cat Grant will also be part of the planet too. She works the gossip column in the comics, and even dated Clark at one point. Steve Lombard joins them as well, who features heavily in All-Star Superman. He's got his mustache from that, and is also going to be a bit of a shaft. In the comics, he constantly belittles Clark to impress women there, and will probably be used that same way in the film, I feel. Leading them all is Perry White, who's going to be played by Wendell Pierce. Guy was also just in Thunderbolts as well, marking his second big comic book movie this year, but like, no idea what he even ended up doing there, because he was like, definitely left to go film this. Where was he, mate? Where was the arc? Where did he end up? Now, we also have a big focus on Superman saving people. This is even seen in stuff like quick cut images like the newspaper where Superman's stopping a train, which is a classic image for the character, and this piece is also written by Clark Kent, strangely bigging himself up like when I like my own videos. The photo is also by Jimmy Olsen, which is a really nice touch. Either way, the first teaser had kids from around the world that helped to highlight he was always looking out for everyone. He's an inspiration to the kids, and he's someone who will not only face down against gigantic kaiju, but also make sure that people aren't hurt doing it. That kaiju has also appeared in a lot of the toys and figures and the behind the scenes looks. I know the creature is getting a hell of a lot of flack, but I actually feel it was supposed to look stupid. This is a creature that's likely wandered out of a pocket dimension and doesn't really have any idea of what's going on. So it's probably meant to look goofy because it's not evil, it's just more like a giant animal on a rampage. That's me guessing though, mate. It might not be. Don't write that down and post it in like 4 months and say you were wrong. But I feel like, it's not meant to look terrifying, and it is meant to look stupid for a reason. You can also kind of piece together some of these action scenes from all the locations and settings. For example, when Superman grabs the girl, you might also notice a lamppost with an ad for a baseball stadium, which is where Superman fights Ultraman at. That is, the home of the Metropolis Meteors, who are the team for the city. The meteor crash also landed in Smallville, which is not too far from Metropolis, so perhaps some of it rained down on this city too. The street also has the name Ross on it, and we know from the production design that the streets were all named after Superman writers and artists. Ross is a nod to none other than Alex Ross, who's one of the greatest comic book artists ever. We also have Wade Street, which you can see at one point, and this is a nod to none other than Mark Waid. I think all the street and downtown stuff will be coupled with this, and then they'll probably spin it to like, the monster was a great guy, mate. Look at this Superman dude who hates you, mate. He attacked that nice monster who looks goofy for a reason. Superman then crashes into the ground, which is sort of akin to the death of Superman imagery, and it also of course riffs off the first trailer when he crashed down in the Arctic. Now this trailer also gives us far more of the theme, which is clearly based on the Williams score. I think that's pretty much now accepted as Superman's theme, and in our last breakdown we compared it to the Bond one. Even though we've had reboots and recasts, it's kind of cemented itself as the character's theme. And I love that Hans Zimmer one as well, mate. That actually knocked Man of Steel up a few points for me because that theme's a banger. It's an absolute banger. But yeah, just bringing those notes across, it all makes sense. Now, as for the Fortress of Solitude, we have seen a lot of clips of it. First trailer, of course, began with Soups crashing down in the snow with him then being taken to it by Krypto. That was then expanded upon with the clip release of the whole scene. Whereas Man of Steel used a Kryptonian ship for the base, this has gone back to the classical style from the Reeve movie. The text in the trailer is also blue with a gleam to it, which kind of feels like it riffs off the original font for that film. Now in that movie, Krypton was an ice planet, and that then got adapted into the comics. Kinda to the point it became the go-to design. The base for this film is hidden away, and then we watch as it rises above the snow. This then reveals the House of El Doorway. In some incarnations, it's open with a giant key that's made from the densest material on Earth. Only Superman can lift this, and thus only he can open the door. Here it's hidden away, and then I'm guessing like, you need Kryptonian DNA to open it or something. Need to smash the thumbs up to open it. Lex ends up entering at one point in this trailer with his baddies, and they tear the place up. This is alongside Ultraman and the Engineer, and I do wonder if the Engineer is a clone, so he has Superman's DNA, which we'll talk more about in just a bit. Inside we then met the robots who guard and look after the location. These are inspired by the comics, and there's a number of different incarnations. The main ones appear in All-Star Superman, which Gunn's repeatedly said inspired the movie. In the comics during the Silver Age, Supes created duplicates of himself that he named the Superman Robots. In Crisis on Infinite Earths, they then took on a more robotic appearance, which was then solidified in All-Star Superman. I think what they helped to do though is show that Superman basically values and respects everything, even crappy robots, mate. Tell Alexa to f*** off. Now, it just shows that he will even do that because he's a bloody top bloke who always hits the thumbs up. In the first teaser, we even had him holding one as it was broken, which highlighted his compassion. But yeah, he's looking after a robot, and one of the most difficult things with adapting Superman is, of course, making him relatable to regular people. Guy is a god, like an actual god, and we should be like insects in comparison. Dr. Manhattan explores that side of a superhuman perfectly, and how it would make you completely detached. So I think touching upon his humanity by just how he even interacts with robots is a really nice touch. All that piece is going to be destroyed by Lex and his gang though, who we see attacking the robots. Now throughout the promotional material, sound proper posh saying that, throughout the promotional material we've had the mysterious figure in Ultraman. If you're a fan of the comics, then you know he's an evil Superman from Earth 2. If you watched our last trailer breakdown, then you might remember we theorized they were doing something similar and possibly even making him a clone. There's no real reason to keep him in a mask unless they're focused on hiding his identity, and he's also clearly able to go toe-to-toe with Supes, or at the very least hold his own against him, which isn't exactly easy. So personally, I believe that Lex is cloned Superman, and that'll be the big reveal. Now there's also been rumours around the film that the movie will have a version of Bizarro. In case you don't know, this is also basically a mirror of Superman. In some incarnations like Forever Evil, Lex was actually revealed as having cloned Supes, but then he didn't have time to let him grow. So he came out all underdeveloped, and it basically went from there. So I do wonder if they're going to do something similar with that. I feel like Ultraman's the secret villain, and the A sets up Lex's sleeve. So yeah, going back to that whole thing before about having to have Kryptonian DNA to enter, I do wonder if they got him because Ultraman's a clone of Superman. You see, I tied it all together. Now if you want to support the channel, we've got a whole host of brand new t-shirts inspired by lots of things out at the moment. We've got our Thundercats Thunderbolts inspired one, and have also dropped this alongside our Andor one. There's also our Galactus Devourer of Worlds, which is based off Saturn Eats His Son. At the moment, we've got a sale on where if you buy 2, you get 15% off, and if you buy 3, you get 20. All goes towards helping videos like this get made, and huge thank you to everyone who's picked one up. Shabow! Now, Nicholas Hoult will of course be playing Lex Luthor. After auditioning for Bruce Wayne years ago, Pattinson ended up pipping him to the post. He also auditioned for Superman here, and we know that didn't work out either. I do think it's interesting that they're going with the vibe that the villain could have played the hero, and it's something that also happened in Nosferatu. There, Bill Skarsgård was initially cast as Hutter, but they then give that to Holt and made Skarsgård the big bad. So it can work really well thematically, and it's always nice when the hero and villain are sort of mirrors of each other. Gunn said in interviews that he just fits the tone of Lex better, and that he reflects Supes in lots of ways. It's something that Morrison's version of the character also played upon, with them both being brilliant. However, Lex felt it was unfair because he had to work for his power, whereas Supes didn't. If you consider inheriting a massive corporation from your dad working for it, but moving on. Both were of course pushed by their fathers, and I do think that's quite an interesting way to go. Now one of the big shots we keep seeing of Lex is him looking out a window and then Superman flying by. This is from his gigantic twin skyscraper which have a bridge in the middle. This is for Luthor Corp, which was what the company was called before Lex's ego got too big. Might mean that his father's still around as well, and he could potentially play into the movie. Either way, the skyscraper, it plays upon him looking down thematically, as most people look up at Superman in awe. However, he looks at him almost on his level, but is angry that he's not quite there. Now, James Gunn also recently came out and said that the Kent Farm home will actually be a double-wide trailer. Gunn said this is something he grew up around, and it's supposed to highlight his humble beginnings. Superman can definitely be used as a Christ metaphor, and I think this is supposed to cement his humility. It's just an interesting detail, but something I think definitely speaks to the character. Throughout all the marketing, they're trying to paint him out as a down-to-earth dude who's not necessarily the usual Superman we're accustomed to. Whether it's in putting his boots on for the first look, or even the first teaser beginning with him crashed out in the snow, this take is definitely meant to be vulnerable. Gunn's obviously pulling a lot from his own life as well, and this is seen most notably in Krypto. You might remember a while back that Gunn talked about how initially he was having difficulty connecting with the character. Then he said he found an in and a way to make his mark. I feel that's through Krypto, and he even modeled the character after his own dog Ozu. Gunn's talked about how the dog often destroys all his stuff and jumps on him during very inappropriate moments, which is something we see Krypto doing here. Gunn, of course, also pushed for Cosmo and Guardians, and he somewhat drew from the same inspiration as Krypto. Krypto was first introduced in Adventure Comics 210, which was released in 1955. There weren't any plans for him to come back down the line, but after readers loved him, they made him a mainstay of Superboy. Over the years, he's had several different origin stories, with the first being he was Kal's dog on Krypton. Dogs there were used as part of test flights, akin to how dogs were used during the space race. Krypto was actually used to test Kal-El's ship, and Jor-El sent him out. Landing on Earth, he actually ended up arriving after Kal-El due to timey-wimey space stuff. There he joined Clark as a teen until the canon was changed in Crisis on Infinite Earths. There Superman's backstory was also altered and Krypto was wiped out the continuity. However, he was reintroduced through them saying he lived in a pocket dimension, which are likely going to be a big part of the film. Brought back in the Return to Krypton arc, we learned Brainiac had built a version of the planet to lure and trap Superman. There was a version of Krypto in that one, and this then got brought into the mainline. So yeah, lots of different convoluted stuff. I hope they keep it simple for the movie, which I'm guessing they're going to do. He is going to be a big part of the film, as they even seem to be pushing him more than Superman in most of the marketing. I see you, Puppy Bowl. The effects are absolutely fantastic, though, and yeah, I think the VFX team, yeah, pat yourselves on the back for it. You've done a smashing job. Now, this personal feeling with the character, that's also going to be exemplified in scenes like the Kent Farm. I think Clark is probably going to pop there from time to time, and we're going to see his relationship with his dad. Jonathan's death's a big part of the history, and it usually highlights that Supes can't control everything. Now, most of the comics, including All-Star, he dies of a heart attack. There, Superman was stopping like some fourth dimensional aliens, I want to say. Been a while since I read it, but look, mate, he's doing that, and while that happens, he hears his dad's heart stop beating. He then rushes to him and realizes he wasn't there when he died. It just lets him know that he can't stop everything and be everywhere, so Jonathan goes from teaching him lessons in life to a really important one in his death. Whether he dies in the film or not, that remains to be seen, but I do feel like it's something they might tackle. At one point, we also see Superman rested up in bed, and I do feel like this might be kryptonite poisoning. It looks like Metamorpho might be able to manufacture it, and potentially this is being used against the character. We see him nursed up in bed, and his parents looking over him, and also get cute moments about his boots and stuff, but yeah, Lois looks worried, so I do think they're kind of playing on that. At one point, we cut to Superman in one of the cells, and you can see Metamorpho sitting in the corner. His hands glowing green, making me think that, yeah, he's manufactured kryptonite. In case you don't know about Metamorpho in general, he was thought up by George Cashton, and he came up with the idea when studying science in school. Thinking that there could be a character made of 4 elements, he shared this idea with Bob Haney. Haney then fleshed out his story with him being cursed by an ancient artifact. Introduced in 1965, Rex Mason's a shapeshifter that's made up of different chemical masses. Kryptonite actually powers Ultraman and weakens Superman, so yeah, might tie in with that. Metamorpho is also a member of the Outsiders, but he's also been part of the Justice League as well. They might just keep it simple though and use him as part of the team, but it does seem weird to bring him in if there's not another side to it. Now, Mr. Terrific seems like he's playing a big part of the film as well. First created in Spectre issue 54, Michael Holt was known as a genius. After the death of his brother, he honed his mind and then became a master of science. Obtaining 14 PhDs, he developed the tech firm Cyberware. He's also an Olympic decathlete. Spurred on by a tragedy that took his wife and unborn child, this event made him question the universe. His wife was on the way to church, and he argued that God wasn't real, so going there was pointless. However, this made her late, and then she died in an accident, and this made him contemplate the nature of the universe. Holt was then visited by the Spectre, and he ended up taking the Terrific moniker from its previous owner Terry Sloan. During this, he also built a company that could rival Wayne Tech, and this helped him to develop his T-Spears. We see these throughout the trailer, which can be used to attack or defend. Now, I think that media is going to be a big thing the film tackles as well. The film will apparently be handling things like cancel culture and how online mobs can be weaponized. This is something that comes from Superman Birthright, and there Lex discovered several aspects of Kryptonian history that didn't make them exactly look that nice. Obviously, we live on a planet where lots of bad things happen, and he basically took all the worst clips he could find and blasted them out to the world, being like, look how bad these guys are. Along with this came the message that Superman was attempting to invade the planet, and he then launched Kaijus on Metropolis, which could tie into what we see in the trailer. We have the big one that breathes fire, and also the weird glowing one that appears behind Superman in the first look. According to the rumours, Lex will be pushing anti-Superman campaigns and also using sock puppet accounts. This will apparently play off Gunn's real life, and what happened to basically get him fired from Disney. There's also rumours that he'll have something that says Jor-El sent Superman to invade the planet, which will turn a lot of people against him. Very invincible, and yeah, I'm interested to see where they go with that. We also know that Jor-El will be played by Bradley Cooper, and it'll be interesting to see if they depict him in a more malevolent light, which Cooper definitely has the range for. As mentioned earlier, the engineer is going to feature in the movie too, and we can also see her on the bridge at Luthor. She's a part of the Authority, and though that's now cancelled, it's possible to bring some of the characters across here. Now, Hawkgirl and Green Lantern have also recently featured in the Peacemaker Season 2 trailer. This was alongside Sean Gunn, who's playing Maxwell Lord. Lord is also appearing in this movie, which ties all these properties together. There are kind of two thoughts behind this though, because of what we've heard in the rumours. When the first look came out, it was said that these wouldn't be the eventual costumes that the group continue to wear come the end of the film. Did that make sense? No. But with that comes the rumour that they're going to get some upgrades in the film, and by the end, they're going to have a different look. Now, if that turns out to be true, then it means Peacemaker actually takes place before the events of this film. The thinking is that this is actually a lead-in, and that Peacemaker from the DCEU will show up to kill the one from the DCEU. Confusing. DCEU Peacemaker will then kill him and take his place in the DCU. That's a theory. But obviously, if that turns out to be true, then it explains why their costumes are more in line there, if the rumours about them getting upgrades are in fact true. Has been rumoured though that pocket dimensions will play a big part of the film. When Lex spins the guns, we also see the containers behind him, which this moment might allude to. Brainiac is also known for collecting specimens like this, and it is thought that Lex might be using that same technology. Whether that's the case or not, it remains to be seen, but I definitely think it's worth bringing up. Going back to Hawkgirl and Green Lantern, Gunn is of course pushing both this and Peacemaker, so it makes sense to bring them across like this. For Hawkgirl, we have Isabella Merced, who, I have to say, her agent's bloody killing it at the moment, mate. Madame Web, that would end most people's career, but she's gone on to do Alien Romulus, The Last of Us, and now this. Sydney Sweeney survived that movie as well because well, she's great at acting, that's why. Going back to Hawkgirl, she's got lots of different versions, but for this film, they seem to be going with the Thanagarian one. Sent to Earth to look for weaknesses, she actually ended up joining us. As for Lantern, I do wonder if this is going to set up the show coming to Max. That will star Aaron Pierre and also Carl Chandler. I'm guessing they'll definitely lay the breadcrumbs here and kind of go over how the Green Lantern technology works. All Green Lanterns possess a ring, and this allows them to manifest their imagination. I can't wait to see some of the things they do in this movie, like get the guy some scissors and a haircut, and when you can imagine anything, you're obviously going to get a variety of weapons. Fillion, of course, has also worked with Gunn several times before, and they're clearly leaning into the goofy side of the character, due to the bowl cut, which you can see. We also have Superman fighting the Kaiju cut up throughout the trailer, and there is a moment where we see lots of different adverts. At one point you can see one for Big Belly Burger, which is of course a mainstay in Universe DC restaurant. There's also the big screen with the news report on, which has new regulations set to begin next week. I do wonder if this is something like the Metahuman Act, where all metahumans must register and then get controlled by the government, which this trailer seems to be alluding to. Now this video is sponsored by Factor. Spring is upon us, and with the weather getting better, you want to spend your time out in the sun. Factor will save you time and help you eat healthy with their nutritious, no-hassle prepared meals. Meeting your wellness goals for summer has never been easier, and these delicious meals will have you looking forward to every dish. Their chef-crafted meals are ready to eat in just 2 minutes, so no matter how busy you are, you'll always have time to enjoy these nutritious, great-tasting meals. With Factor, you can enjoy effortless support for your lifestyle. Choose from 6 menu preferences to help you manage calories, maximize protein intake, avoid meat, or simply eat well balanced. Make your day delicious from breakfast to dessert and stay fueled with easy nutritious options. With 35 different meals and more than 60 add-ons to choose from every week, you'll always have new flavors to explore. Factor is the go-to lunch and dinner solution, and viewers of this channel can get an amazing offer. Head to factor75.com or click the link below and use the code 50spoilers to get 50% off plus free shipping off your first Factor box. That's code 50spoilers at factor75.com to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Factor's no hassle prepared food. Make sure you always have something nutritious on hand when you don't have time to think about making a meal. That's code 50spoilers at factor75.com to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Thank you. Now we also have a couple of details from Collider about the film in general. The movie apparently starts in the middle of an action scene, which might even be that moment with a kaiju. Clark then gets injured, and this is probably going to take us to the Fortress of Solitude. Beyond that, the flying scenes were also based off Top Gun Maverick, which, yeah, you can kind of see it. Actually, just rewatched that movie, and yeah, the feeling you get from that definitely feels recaptured here. That's a feeling I also get with the score, with it clearly pulling notes from Top Gun Maverick. Composer John Murphy, you know, it's clear that he's doing stuff from the Williams stuff, but I think you can also kind of hear those Top Gun Maverick stuff as well. And look, it just made $1 billion, it's crushing it, so yeah, it makes sense to take it from that and kind of tie that into the flying scenes. But I say just made $1 billion, it was years ago, mate. It's been 84 years, where's all the time gone? Anyway, that wraps up the trailer, and I have to say, I'm pretty trepidatious about the film. Not to be hyperbolic, mate, yeah, but this might be one of the most important films of all time and shit. Now, what I mean by that is that not only is the DCEU riding on it, but I also feel that the comic book genre as a whole is. If it fails, it not only destroys Gunn's 10-year plan, but if Superman can't be a hit, then I don't know what can. We've seen recently that superhero movies have been underperforming across the board, so there's definitely the feeling that audiences have checked out. The general audience at least. I know there's people who'll go see this stuff either way, but judging by the box office, the streaming numbers on these shows, I'm not sure how big that core audience is. This film is kicking off the Gods and Monsters phase, and it pretty much sets the tone for what James Gunn's doing. I've heard test screenings have been mixed as well, and there's lots of tinkering behind the scenes to kind of even out the tone. The criticism is that it's a bit goofy and overly comedic, but yeah, I think that's Gunn's style in general, and I've always enjoyed his movies. Like Guardians, his DC stuff, I like it. When it comes to Clark, he's definitely leaning in with the bumbling nerd tag. That was something Reeve did as well. His stumbling about, you know, the messy hair he has, it all kind of has that awkward feeling to it. It might sound like I'm being negative, but I really want this film to succeed, as I think it could usher in a second win for the genre. I'm excited for it though. July is going to be packed, you know, we've got Fantastic Four, Jurassic World, and lots of films coming out, and it's going to be interesting to see how this film kind of competes with the rest of them. Anyway, that wraps up the teaser. I hope you guys have enjoyed us going through it, and if you have, please hit the thumbs up and also drop a comment with your thoughts below. I've actually just done a big breakdown on the Christopher Reeve Superman film as well, which is on screen right now. I think that's one of our best comic book breakdowns, so if you enjoy that film, which you should bloody do, mate, it's like one of the most important films of all time as well, then head over there right after this. With out of the way, I've been your host Paul, you've been the best, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Peace.